Good afternoon, everybody. And I'm back to our YouTube channel here, being able to broadcast from our YouTube studio. And I'm very glad to be able to do that today. Okay. In honor of Lilith, I am wearing a Lilith sigil. And of course, I am in the capacity today as an arch high priest of Brotherhood of Satan. So I am wearing a Magister Magnus Satanic medallion, which is purple, of course. And today, in my Devilish Deeds book, what I call my Master Counselor Book of Devilish Deeds, we're going to talk about satanic ethics. Wow. Now, that's another controversial subject in Satanism, for sure, isn't it? Okay. Now, most people believe in the stereotypical things that they see out there about Satanism and Satanists in particular. Okay. And I'm using that word stereotype for a reason. It is exactly that. Somewhere, people, and of course the enemy will say this about us all the time, right? Because they're going to be the ones that really like to say these things. Somewhere along the line, people think all Satanists are just terribly evil people. We have no ethics, no scruples. We don't give a shit about anybody. We're just out to fucking kidnap, torture, rape, and murder people, or all these lies. Okay, and I have to give kudos to the Church of Satan for probably one of the few times I do give them kudos. Is because I have to agree with Dr. Lil on the issue of how you present yourself as a Satanist is important. Okay. And what I mean by that is, yes, if we're Satanists that know about self-responsibility, our ethics are not just going to be geared towards people in our own infernal circle, right? It's going to be our ethics should be geared towards even what we believe about ourselves as people. Okay. But in satanic ethics, okay, most people think that Satanists, we don't have a good bone in our bodies. Wow. Okay. Now let's go back into some other things. Crowley said the word of the law of sin is restriction. Okay. And that comes from Christianity, of course, right? But in being a Satanist, like Drew is, like I am, I don't believe in restriction. That's a word that Drew does not follow, right? I'm not going to follow restriction because no Satanist should be dictated to or told what to do. Okay. Again, this is satanic ethics, isn't it? And this is exactly what I want you to be thinking about. So most people think all Satanists should follow the stereotypical version of what a Satanist is and who a Satanist is supposed to be and who we are in our everyday lives, for instance, right? Okay, it's bullshit to think that Satanists, who are also human beings, would never use ethics in our living, in the way we live, the way we interact with others in our lives, even the animal world for that matter, in the plant world, right? We're going to have ethics in all these different things on life, in our life's experience today. Satanic ethics. So satanic ethics is geared up for one reason. And the reason Drew is talking about this is because we need to break down those stereotypes. We need to be focusing on what is a Satanist, right? So if we're going to talk about what a Satanist is not, then we want to focus on what a Satanist is. Who we really are as real people, right? Okay. Now, I know Brotherhood Satanism does not advocate just doing evil things to just anybody off in the street, just for no fucking reason, right? Okay. We wouldn't waste your time. We got far more important things to be doing for Satan. That's an absolute fact. Okay. But we do follow ethics. Even the 13 laws of the Brotherhood of Satan were set up as a code of conduct. Why? So our membership the Brotherhood of Satan, can have a way to interact with each other using satanic ethics. Respect. Wow. Okay. Too much stereotype out there, folks. And unfortunately, a lot of newbie Satanists believe that to be true in real Satanism, when it certainly is not. I've been around a long time. It certainly is not. The stereotype is not us. And we're not anti Christian. There's another stereotype about us. It does come into our ethics about things, because we're not stereotypical Christians, and we're not, reverse Christians, because we're a pre-Christian organization. The devils and demons were the ancient gods and goddesses of the past dark pagan cultures. Okay. But ethics must come into being, okay? Ethics have to be a key factor in Satanism today. Our interaction with each other is everything, right? And if you don't have an ethics that you follow with people, how do we dare think that we could ever, the theistic satanic movement that is, could ever be able to formulate a real satanic unity to happen? This is why it's important that Drew's talking about satanic ethics today. In order to have real satanic unity, it's a key factor that we follow a form of ethics as Satanists. Now, yeah, we may be the very first people they would think would have no scruples and no ethics. Oh, boy. And, of course, that comes from what? Several thousands of years of conditioning by the Christian church that all Satanists and satanic witches are just terrible people. We don't have codes of conduct. We don't, do good at all in our lives for anybody, and all that stereotype. So satanic ethics is important, guys. And satanic ethics is that way that helps us with our interaction with other Satanists. Now, when you start to use satanic ethics, things that Drew said in past videos about our interaction with other Satanists out there, or even other human beings, it comes into being in these areas. It is satanic ethics when we choose not to give them an emotional reaction of something. Okay? We're using satanic ethics right there, because we know as Satanists, it's a personal choice if we want to react to what anybody posts or doesn't post on the internet, correct? Or what they say, whether we agree or don't agree. We don't have to even say a word if we don't agree to nothing. And that's actually using satanic ethics, actually, because you're using an actual form of logic along with satanic ethics, because you're using logic first. You're going, okay, I don't agree with that statement. Boy, they really are stereotypical. That's really not us as real Satanists. Drew sees it all the time. Okay. But we're using ethics when we're using logic. Okay, there's another form of satanic ethics. By our use of logic first. Not just giving somebody an emotional response, right? A reaction. Now, a real Satanist knows something. When you give them an emotional response, an emotional reaction, you just gave them your power. They were already able to influence you. Holy shit. That's true, though. What Drew's telling is true. Okay. You just gave them power. Be like Drew when it comes to satanic ethics. If I don't agree with something, and they're just out there spouting terrible shit, I'm going to go, you have no power. You really have no gnosis, no knowledge of real Satanists. But I don't even bother myself with making a statement about them. I'm not going to make a statement in somebody else's territory, on their turf, on their page, in their group, whatever, right? Real Satanist leaders don't do those kind of things. Because why? Because we actually follow satanic ethics. There you go again. I'm going to talk about issues on my own personal profile where they're important to be talked about. Then your satanic ethics that you're using, discussing a satanic issue in a logical and intelligent way, and you're saying it on your own personal profile, as your own personal perspective about this particular subject or what you might have read elsewhere. Okay? That's satanic ethics, guys. And all true leaders in Satanism should be using satanic ethics in our interaction with other people, Satanists and the mundane world. Okay. Ethics is important, right? Okay. Is it ethical to tell somebody something and then not do it? Well, just don't tell them, right? Okay. It's also satanic ethics to try to keep your word and show a real self responsibility for yourself. Okay. Keep your word to other Satanists to the very best of your ability. There'll be times you fail at that, but always try your hardest to try to always keep your word. When you're doing that, you're using satanic ethics with your sisters and brothers, right? Okay. Our respecting other people and other Satanists in the first place is again a satanic leader using ethics in their interaction with those people too. Why am I using satanic ethics? Well, it's my way of showing a respect to the people that deserve it, for instance. That is satanic ethics being used, being actualized in my life, right? Why do you think I share on my page, my profile, on Facebook? Why do I share other people's stuff? Because their stuff's right on, and it is something I believe in, and that's what I share, right? I'm not going to share the subject that I think's a subject full of water, a subject that's going to sink. It's nothing tangible with it. It's not a true subject, or it's a somebody's own opinion or personal perspective, which in Satanism is okay because everybody has a right to that. But not if they're presenting untruth. Bingo. Again, satanic ethics. You don't lie about things in Satanism. Try to present the truth as much as possible. Your personal ethics as a leader is important. Wow. All right. So always strive your best, to have some ethical things that you follow as a Satanist. Break down the stereotype. Our Barry giving him the finger and thumbing our noses up at him, giving him the horns, as many times as possible, not just in action, right? But in the way we live with each other is really sticking it up their ass even more. Okay. I'm talking about the enemy. Because no, they would love to see all of us infighting, hating each other, doing no ethics being used whatsoever between each other, right? Bunch of backbiting going on, jealousy, whatever. Okay. But when you become a leader that uses satanic ethics, you won't be looked at like you're a hypocrite like the Christians are, okay? Because you're actually living something that you believe. Um, our satanic ethics is to honor Namaste, right? To honor another Satanist first, actually. And this is what Drew will always be like. I'll even honor some of the atheistic Satanists, believe it or not, if they're doing the right things. Why? Because I do use ethics. No, I don't. At 666%, I don't believe in atheistic Satanism. Heck no. But my ethics as a Satanist tell me to let them have their satanic given right to believe in Satan any way, shape, or form that they want to. Because I'm using satanic ethics. Of course, I know you can't call yourself a Satanist, really, if you don't even believe in the thing you're calling yourself, right? Or the entity, a deity to us, and brother, it's a deity, that you're naming yourselves after, but you don't really believe in it. Okay. Now, I won't talk about the ethics of why, the the things we do out there are important, but they are, okay? The ethics of it's so important because that's part of our own presentation as Satanists today, right? Now, here's a good example. The Brotherhood's coming out. We've been out now 25 years or so. From the shadows of darkness, right? The underworld of darkness, where we really like to be, more than the internet, actually. But when we're out here, we know we must use a code of conduct and ethics in our presentation because we do have enemies out there. We do have other Satanists out there that are very jealous of the Brotherhood because we're a very knowledgeable organization and we help people to think for themselves. Some of those organizations don't want you thinking for yourselves. But that's part of our what? Our satanic ethics as an organization. Okay. Now, you can't speak about satanic ethics in reality without discussing the issue of underage children. It's unethical to try to coerce children into believing something when they're not ready to believe in it yet, right? And I don't mean about our generation of satanic families that taught even myself as a child all the way through today. Okay. I'm talking about when you are being unethical in this way. And that's by trying to do what Christians do to condition people to think a certain way, right? Or to use some kind of a mind control on people. Well, we're really our Satanists that actually have ethics that we follow. We don't believe in trying to manipulate people. We want people to come to Satanism of their own free will and accord. Okay? The same with a child. A child doesn't have the knowledge yet when they're still a young child, unless they do come from a generational family. I was very lucky to. Okay? But not everybody had that luck. So our ethics have to be there. We want members to come into Brotherhood of Satan, and this is because we're using ethics, that are 18 years old. We want them to be able to think for themselves. They weren't coerced. They weren't influenced in any way by our organization or by any of our teachers in our organization, any of our infernal clergy. And the reason is because we want to use satanic ethics. And we want the child to actually be an adult first. Okay. Unless you're raised within generational families where our families protect us, and even there, don't think generational satanic families didn't have ethics. They have ethics. I think I was taught. Okay. I don't like to go into all that story. You guys all know my histories. I'm older than Stonehenge, right? That's what they say. Okay. But, all right. So, but the use of satanic ethics is so important, right? In our interaction out there. Okay, so our video presentations, for instance, we have them age restricted because of the same reason, because we actually are an ethical organization as well. Okay. We don't believe in the brainwashing of anybody. We highly disagree with the Christian church in their brainwashing tactics that they use on their congregations and to induct people into their religion. So no, we don't want to do the exact same thing that those fucking hypocrites are fucking doing. We want to follow satanic ethics for ourselves as part of Satanism. Okay. And this takes me to something that, a magister of the Church of Satan, Michael Rose, years and years ago, talked about Brotherhood, right? And I don't know if he even knew any of us or anything. I don't think he ever knew the real Brotherhood or anything about us, right? But he kept making a comment in his little comment, his little article, that Brotherhood was a Christian concept. No, it's not a Christian concept. Okay? Never was. Never was. And I'll tell you why. Real Satanists do have ethics, right? Yes, we do. Absolutely, we do. And the Brotherhood has always been built as a standing foundation, a long-lasting foundation, an ancient landmark. that has continuity and was built to withstand the tests of time. One of the main things that helped the Brotherhood to withstand the sands of time and the tests of time is because we use Satanic ethics. We use respect, a 13 laws code of conduct for our interaction with each other as members. Okay. So Satanic ethics is really, really important if we ever want to see Satanic unity realized, right? You can't be someone that's serving the stereotypical view of Satan. And you're saying you're a real Satanist, and you're a Satanist, you're a real believer in Satan. But yet you're honoring all this stereotype of the way that they say we are, or how they want to present us. Wow. Get that fucking reverse Christian syndrome out of your heads, guys. And use our own form of Satanic ethics. If we do that, unity can happen for us. It's already happening, it's already developing. If we want Satanic unity to continue developing, then we'll be smart enough to take personal self-responsibility in all of our actions in our everyday lives, and we'll follow a code of ethics even as Satanists. Because we need to break down those stereotypes that are being presented about us that are false. We like to call ourselves a Brotherhood of Knowledge. Well, if we are a Brotherhood of Knowledge, then we would have had to kept that knowledge intact somehow. Well, these very things that we're talking about today, Satanic ethics, is one of those things that keeps our very gnosis, our very current and transmission of our knowledge intact. Because we are using Satanic ethics in what we do. So I encourage you to be a Satanist that's not feeding the stereotype, the negative bullshit only, and presents an accurate portrayal and presentation of what real Satanists are, what we believe, and the real truths about us. Okay. I thank you, everybody, for your time today. A lot of leaders might not have addressed this. Drew's going to. I'm going to address these things because they're important to the very growth of Satanism. If you guys all want Satanism to stagnate and go nowhere, and you want to make the enemy right, keep following what they're telling you. The falsehood and bullshit they're telling you. But if you want to become a wise Satanist of intelligence, then you will use Satanic ethics in all of your interaction with the other side and with our own kind. Satan admonishes me to say these things today. That once we can do these types of things, where we can break down their stereotype, and we can show one another a real respect for each other, we have all these sovereign Satanists then coming together. We all have our own individual knowledge. And knowledge is power. Some people try to dispute that with Drew sometimes. Oh, knowledge isn't power. Yes, it is. And it's also the proper usage of that knowledge. It absolutely is. Power. But the Brotherhood's power is a whole myriad of things. And yes, it's the ethics we use, and everything else we do for people out there in the occult world, right? But let's try hard this coming year, everybody, to talk to people about ethics and the things that are going to help make Satanism grow and not stagnate. These are very, very important things for the growth of Satanism today. Okay? Support your sisters and brothers. Use satanic ethics when you talk to people and you deal with people. Okay? No, this isn't Christian syndrome that Drew's talking about whatsoever. We had it before them. The word brotherhood's always been ours. It goes back to the mystery schools. And guess what? Those cultures from those mystery schools were all pagan. They were all dark pagan. Brotherhood has never been a Christian term. I was like, okay, guys, try to use ethics in your everyday interaction with people, as I've said. I'm not going to keep everybody today too long, but, these things need to be said. We don't want to see Satanism stagnating anymore. It's time for growth. Let's bring everybody together, right? We're going to bring more vehicles out, more satanic vehicles for people to live Satanism. You guys got the choice now. The Brotherhood's back out. You have a choice. Stagnate or grow. If you want to grow, you'll start learning satanic ethics between each other instead of this pissing matches that we constantly see plaguing Satanism today. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I'd like to leave you with a little blessing. Ad majorem Santane Gloriam, to the greater glory of Saint. I want to add something. To the greater glory of every individual Satanist that's a real believer and knows how to use satanic ethics in their life. Hail Satan. Hail the wisdom of the Brotherhood. Knowledge used with wisdom is our way. This is the way of the Brotherhood, and it is the way to power. So mote it be. Hail Satan. Rege Satanis. Ave Satanis.